Oh man, it's food life. You gotta eat to live, that's what I'm saying. In today's episode, we'll be making a balanced meal, except for fruit. But hey, have a banana later. If you want to follow along at home, you're gonna need some soy sauce, an onion, minced garlic, a little bit of butter, some raw chicken tenders, spinach, and a little bit of rice. If you have all that, you're gonna be just fine. With this meal, you gotta start out by taking the pot, taking the rice, and then putting the rice right into the pot. The rice by far takes the longest to cook, so if you get this guy going right now, by the time you do the prep work and cook everything else, he'll be ready. Right now you see I'm rinsing off the rice. If you're new to rice cooking, this is an essential step. If you don't do it, you're gonna end up with just a gelatin-like thing of rice, not the individual grains like we want. And as you see, we want a pretty clear water, not totally clear, but way clearer than we first started with. Now I'm doing a 2-to-1 ratio, so 2 cups of water for 1 cup of rice. Yesterday I bought a pack of rice and on it said do a 1 to 1.5 ratio. So I'm gonna have to try it out because I always have a problem where my rice just overflows and burns on the stove. I don't want that. I think my problem is I cook the rice at either way too high of a heat or too small of a pot. Both of those things could contribute, so maybe I'll try less water. I don't think that's gonna work out, but I think the lower heat would definitely help me. And here we have the onion, the great onion, cutting it into long skinny pieces. I think the long skinny pieces complement the dish, and the hunkier pieces are not meant for this. Little bit of garlic here, generous amount of garlic, honestly. I'm a garlic guy. If you don't like garlic as much as I do, put less in. And we bring up the old debate of, do I melt the butter before I put in the onions and the garlic? That's a big maybe. I don't think it really matters, but I've been told melt the butter. And now we come to the even more interesting topic of how much soy sauce to use. The answer is, I don't know. All I do is err on the side of you can always add more later. So I add a starting amount, use all 5 of my senses, continue with the dish, and I'll add more later for sure. I definitely will. You'll see I will. The thing is, I used to just make this dish with garlic and chicken. The onion is a new addition, so the onions honestly soak up a lot of the soy sauce. I think a solution could be I cook the onions for longer before adding the soy sauce in. Maybe they won't soak up as much of the soy sauce, but gotta keep on experimenting. That's what I do with all my dishes. It just isn't perfect the first time. Nothing is. But keep on trying, and eventually you'll get the perfect flavor. And here we come to the chicken. As you saw, I cut up the chicken into bite-sized pieces. Not too big, not too small. Not too small because we want to have a moist center in the chicken. That's what the aim is. Not too overcooked because that would make it too hard, but not undercooked. You don't want to die. Nah. And not too large because I want to have a great amount of surface area so the sauce can adhere to the side. It can cook up and just make that flavor ever more powerful. And there you saw rice maintenance duty. Gotta keep an eye on that pesky rice. Don't want it to burn on the stove. It's annoying to clean up. And here we come to the spinach portion of the episode. We start by taking a little slab of butter and putting it right in that pan. And that pan's really hot. And a point that I want to stress is the butter has to melt before you put the garlic in. If you put the garlic in before the butter is totally melted, it's just not going to turn out right. You may think, oh, well, you put in the onions before the butter melted. Well, the onions take a much longer time to cook, way longer. This garlic will burn on a dime, so you really got to keep an eye on it, really got to focus because it's just going to burn it. Nothing's worse than seeing this like black residue on the pan. Puts a tear in my heart. So we melt the butter, we put the garlic in, we wait for it to brown, and we want to get the garlic to a point just before it turns over to a golden brown. If you make something like this meal or a spinach type of meal, or maybe a pasta sauce will call for this step. You'll know when it turns. And then once you feel that it's reached its point, we just start adding in the spinach bit by bit. This is not the whole amount of spinach. I'll add in some later, but just to prevent overflowing, as you saw right there, I almost missed a leaf, but just keep an eye on it. It burns really easily. Oh, and you see right here, this is a classic move. You gotta scrape the spatula on the side of the pan. Hugely important. I think there's a lot of flavor missing from there. When I was young, and even still, I always wanted to create a gourmet restaurant called Drippins, where it was just like that intense flavor, where it's like the side of the spatula, the side of the pan, right off the grill, something like that, where, you know, you're not going to get more flavor than that. It's insane. And now let's just watch this spinach cook down. Just cooking down so quickly. I wanted to speed this up so you could see how extreme the change is, and there you go, we got it. Now watch this. I pour the water into the pan. This is a technique I picked up from a different dish, but I think it works in pretty much every dish that's similar to this, where if you pour this water on this hot pan, just a bit of water, it lifts up all the spices that are stuck to the pan, and you can get them right onto your chicken, onto your protein. It works wonders, and I think it makes the chicken even more moist, more tasty. Just a little bit of water, you can do it. Now we get to plating. As you can see, I'm not actually using a plate, but a bowl. I use a bowl because I think that the chicken being on top melts down into the spinach and the rice and just boosts their flavor significantly. That's why I call it a balanced meal. That's the other part of it. Balanced in the food groups, and also balanced in the flavor. Everything complements each other, and it turns into one big conglomerate that's just really tasty, really simple, all the ingredients you know and love. You can see it glistens how I like the shininess factor, and it tasted great. I ate it right after this, hot, steamy, everything was done at the perfect time. So I hope you try to make it, and thanks for watching. Peace.